Hello and welcome back to manvfilm. It is time for another top 10 of movies that you can watch right now for February 2021. And I don't know if you're like me, suffering a little bit of the lockdown blues. It's trying to really get to me a little bit, but I'm using escapism in the form of movies to try and block out the outside trauma that's happening in the real world. So here's 10 movies that I hope let you escape just a little bit. Number 10, Replicant. Detective Jake Riley is on the trail of serial killer Edward the Torch Garrott, who murders mothers and sets them ablaze after they're dead. Nearing retirement, Riley is moved from the case, but is soon contacted by a secret government agency who has created a clone of Garrott using secret technology. The Replicant teams with Riley to help track down the killer, but despite the novel approach, Garrott will be hard to stop. Replicant has not one Van Damme but two, something we've seen done before, but these are two really opposing performances that I really quite like. One as the Replicant, someone new to the world, struggling to get used to their own skin and body, as well as everything round about them, but also a terrifying serial killer in the form of Garrott. And tying this full movie together, we have Michael Rooker as the detective who is just wonderfully antagonistic to everybody on screen. This is a really enjoyable movie in which Ringo Lam shoots the hell out of it. It's one from 2001 that could often be just bypassed as another one of those Van Damme movies, but it's really enjoyable. Number 9, Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow is the term used to describe a nuclear device that has been lost. In this movie, 2 nuclear missiles are stolen by rogue US pilot Deakins. But hot on his trail is his co-pilot Hale and a park ranger Terry. The action takes place in Utah's Canyon Country, a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Broken Arrow is John Woo's film with Christian Slater versus John Travolta, Travolta being the bad guy, as they hunt down nuclear weapons in the desert, and it has all the wooisms you would expect, but it's incredibly fun. It has 2 really good performances, even if Travolta is chewing the scenery a little bit. But I kind of like that in The Bad Guys. It's got some wonderful relationships between these 2 people that used to be friends who are now mortal enemies, and it's got some horrific action set pieces. Number 8, Push. After his father, an assassin, is brutally murdered, Nick Gant vows revenge on Division, the covert government agency that dabbles in psychic warfare and experimental drugs. Hiding in Hong Kong's underworld, Nick assembles a band of rogue psychics dedicated to destroying Division. Together with Cassie, a teenage clairvoyant, Nick goes in search of a missing girl and a stolen suitcase that could be the key to accomplishing their mutual goal. Push was a movie that I really hoped there was going to be a sequel. It's basically a more realistic version of the X-Men, as these people have psychic powers that lift them above everybody else. Of course, there's a clandestine group after them, and it just plays out the way you would kind of have expected to, only alludes to a grander story in a bigger world. Chris Evans stars as our main psychic warrior along with Dakota Fanning, and it is just a really great piece of cinema, really fun, and I love a lot of the practical photography on locations and really busy situations that look as if it was filmed on the fly. Number 7, Brick. Brendan, a high school student who prefers to steer clear of the cliques and crowds and their wild shenanigans, that is until his ex-girlfriend Emily is found dead in a storm drain, only 2 days after receiving a frantic and confusing call from her on a payphone. Determined to find out what happened to her, Brendan discovers that Emily's death is linked to something darker and far more serious than he could have imagined. Brick is a favourite movie of mine. It is basically a noir movie set within a high school as we follow Brendan as he tries to discover what happened to his ex-girlfriend, jumping between various cliques as they all talk in this 40s slang that is strangely fitting for the tale, and it just delivers on a lot of different quirks. I think Brick is a masterpiece of a movie. Number 6, Sweet Country. Australian western set in the Northern Territory frontier in the 20s, where justice itself is put on trial when aged Aboriginal farmhand shoots a white man in self-defence and goes on the run as a posse gathers to hunt him down. Sweet Country is one of the prettiest movies I've ever seen, although the tale is rather destructive and dark. We have these people who feel entitlement because of their skin colour, hunt down somebody whose land they've technically invaded and belittle them and trying to put him to a court case where they can just kill him legally. It's a tale where you really follow the protagonist and become enraptured in his life and the way he survives, and the stunning landscapes that it goes through. The images are just utterly wonderful, and it's a really, really interesting film. Number 5, The Relic. A detective is puzzled after a recent spate of deaths involving decapitations. He visits a museum when a new victim is found murdered there. In the museum, he encounters an evolutionary biologist who herself is puzzled after discovering the mutated beetle that possesses both insect reptilian DNA. The detective finds a common link between the murders: hypothalamus missing from the brains of the victims. Time for a monster movie. That's what The Relic is, and I really like it. Starring Tom Sizemore as a cop, Penelope Ann Muller as a professor at a museum. It's got this gigantic, horrific monster hunting people down in a wonderful location, and it's expertly shot. Got lots of suspenseful scenes, little bits of terror and horror built into it, and it's got a really ingenious plot around it, why everything is happening the way it's happening. The Relic's often forgotten about, but it's a late 90s gem in my book. Number 4, Face Off. FBI Special Agent Sean Archer tries to find a biological weapon placed in LA by a sadistic terrorist for hire and criminal mastermind Castor Troy. Archer has hunted Troy for the last 8 years and is consumed by revenge. Archer must now borrow Troy's face using a surgical procedure to go undercover as him, but things go wrong when Troy wakes up and assumes the identity of Archer. Face Off, another John Woo movie starring John Travolta in this one, and again we are ridiculous in this one. We have Nicolas Cage versus John Travolta in this, and Nicolas Cage is beautifully over the top in this one for some of it, and then replaced by John Travolta, outmatching him by going even broader and even bigger. The action set pieces are brilliant, they're very different, and they are awesome, and the two performances really drive the movie forward. Even though it's a ridiculous plot, you just don't care because it's so damn cool and so damn fun. Number 3, Arachnophobia. A large spider from the jungles of South America is accidentally transported in a crate with a dead body to America, where it mates with a local spider. Soon after, the residents of a small California town disappear as the result of spider bites. It's up to a couple of doctors with the help of an insect examinator to annihilate these 8-legged freaks before they take over the entire town. Arachnophobia is one of those movies that I watched countless times in my teens. I just loved it. If you're afraid of spiders, it may not be best to watch this one. These creepy crawlies invade this town, and it's up to Jeff Daniels to try and stop this invading and lethal force. It's got countless scenes of these things creeping up the walls. You're just waiting for them to bite somebody and kill them. And it's got all that kind of ickiness built into it, with a little bit of levity in the form of John Goodman in this one, who just steals the scenes whenever he appears in the film. Number 2, The Quick and the Dead. Ellen, the taciturn blonde gunslinger known as the Lady, rides into the dusty hamlet of Redemption to take part in corrupt Mayor Herod's quick draw gunfighting competition. With revenge etched in her heart, the Lady has to compete with dangerous killers from all over the area. Some crave recognition, some retribution, while others are in it for the riches. But this is a fight to the death, and there can be only one winner. Sam Raimi's Quick and the Dead is one of my favourite Western movies. It has that Raimi sensibility where the camera is zooming about, turning at crazed angles, moving through people's open wounds at certain points. It's got a great cast. It's got a great cast. Sharon Stone as the lady, Russell Crowe as the preacher, Gene Hackman as the bad guy, and Leonardo DiCaprio in an early role as well. Extremely violent, extremely fun, and just a kind of movie that you don't see many people making these days. Number 1, Starman. An alien who has crash landed in the US takes on the appearance of a woman's dead husband and enlists her help to escape from pursuing authorities and rendezvous with the spacecraft on the other side of the country. As he learns how to be more human, the alien begins to take on more and more qualities of the woman's husband, drawing her even closer. Starman is one of my favourite John Carpenter movies. It shows that he can tell a tale in almost any form, this being a drama, an emotional road trip between these two characters as one deals with loss and trying to go over the loss of her husband, but connecting with this alien that has taken his form and realising that it's not really him, but getting the chance to say goodbye again. The alien realising what it is to be human and connecting with this woman. It's got wonderful performances, it's got real heart in it as well, and it's got some exciting moments, but it's just an absolute powerhouse performance by Jeff Bridges, and something I highly recommend. So there we have it, 10 great movies for you to check out this month. I hope you find something to take away a little bit of the stress or trauma that's happening in the real world. I know I need some of that. If there's anything that I've missed off my list, or if there's anything you can suggest for me to check out to help me out, feel free to do so in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.